Yeah. So now we will start with our revision of life process. As I mentioned, now I will not go into the details. I will just tell you in each page what are the questions that are asked and what is the answer. If you have followed me before, you would have written there only all the questions. So you can check and read, and we will also study the important questions of life process and the list of diagrams that will be a part of this chapter. Okay? When you study the first paragraph of life process, you should only know conditions which make an organism as living or non-living, which is never a question asked in board, because board knows that you know that much, that what is living or what is non-living. You basically write multiple things that I breathe, but the basis of life is that there should be what movement? Molecular movement. If there is a molecular movement, whether you walk, whether you talk, whether you breathe, whether you eat, whether you reproduce, all are completely set aside. But if you have molecular movements, you are said to be living, because we are all made up of molecules, and hence if the molecule moves from one part of the body to the other, we say we are living. So why is reproduction not considered as an important life process? Because we can live even without reproducing. So this is the only question which comes from this part, this entire page. Okay? Now, in text questions, you should know what criteria do we decide whether something is alive, what are raw materials, outside raw materials used for by an organism, food, what processes would you consider essential for maintaining life, digestion, nutrition is digestion, okay, digestion, respiration, transportation, excretion, they are all important for maintaining life. First question, why is diffusion? This is very, very important. Please mark it. Why is diffusion insufficient to meet the energy requirement of multicellular organisms? Because the entire body is not in direct contact with the surrounding. So diffusion alone is not sufficient to meet the oxygen requirement of multicellular organs like humans. So what we require? A respiratory pigment. The respiratory pigment is basically what? Hemoglobin, which takes in oxygen from which takes in oxygen from lungs to different parts of the body. Here, what is nutrition? So first write in page number 95, if you have not written, define nutrition. Somewhere we would have done before. Define nutrition. Okay. What are biocatalysts? Enzymes are biocatalysts. Second paragraph. Enzymes are biocatalysts. These enzymes help in breakdown of food material into simpler forms. Okay. Depending on the mode of nutrition, we classify organisms as autotrophic or autotrophs and heterotrophs. Autotrophs are organisms that take up the sun's light and with the help of chlorophyll prepare their own food. Heterotrophs are organisms which are directly or indirectly dependent on autotrophs for their survival. Correct? Heterotrophic mode of nutrition, and what all we study? Parasitic mode of nutrition, symbiotic mode of nutrition, holozoic mode of nutrition, and saprophytic mode of nutrition. So, depending on the mode of nutrition, you classify organisms as autotrophs and heterotrophs. In heterotrophs, you study holozoic mode of nutrition, parasitic mode of nutrition, saprophytic mode of nutrition, and symbiotic mode of nutrition. Symbiotic mode of nutrition. And now we will talk about what? Autotrophic mode of nutrition. Autotrophs basically include green plants which prepare their own food by the action of chlorophyll and sunlight, carbon dioxide and water. What are the essential things? Okay, what next part? Reserve food material in plants, starch. Reserve food material in animals, glycogen. So from this page, you will have define nutrition. You should write there, Kuldeep and Dhruv. Define nutrition. What are enzymes or what are biocatalysts? Enzymes are biocatalysts. They are called biocatalysts because they help in conversion of complex food material into simpler forms so that it can be absorbed by our body. Okay? Depending on the mode of nutrition, we classify organisms as autotrophs and heterotrophs. Heterotrophs are organisms which are directly or indirectly dependent on autotrophs for their survival. For heterotrophic mode of nutrition have these following types: holozoic, parasitic, saprophytic and symbiotic. When I talk about autotrophic mode of nutrition, we talk about green plants which can prepare their own food by the action of sunlight, chlorophyll, carbon dioxide and water. The reserve food or the extra food material what they prepare is stored in the form of starch, where in vacuoles, okay, and in animals it is stored in the form of glycogen in liver, okay. So the reserve food material in plant, starch, the reserve food material in animals, glycogen, okay. Now let us go to the next part. Very, very important equation of photosynthesis. I said we take carbon dioxide, water, sunlight and chlorophyll. So let us go to the same logic. Carbon dioxide 6CO2 plus 12H2O. We require what? Sunlight, and we require what? Chlorophyll. So in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, it forms food for the plant. What is the food for the plant? C6H12O6 plus what? 6H2O. So this is how is our equation plus of photosynthesis. Along with it, what I get to photosynthesis? Oxygen. So what is my byproduct of photosynthesis? Oxygen. Here you should remember the equation if you remember the raw material. What are the raw material required for photosynthesis? Carbon dioxide and water in presence of sunlight and chlorophyll prepares glucose, a little of water, and what is the byproduct? Oxygen. And this oxygen is required for existence of life on earth. Correct? So till here, the most important part now, which I have been giving in all the tests. What are the important events taking place during photosynthesis? The important event that takes place during photosynthesis is absorption of sunlight by chlorophyll or absorption of light by chlorophyll, conversion of light energy into chemical energy, photolysis of water, which is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen, then reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. This is a very important 2-mark question for board. Even if I wake you up in midnight, you should be able to know. What is it? Absorption of light by chlorophyll, conversion of light energy into chemical energy, photolysis of water, that is splitting of water into hydrogen and oxygen, and reduction of carbon dioxide into carbohydrates. So what are the major events taking place during photosynthesis? These are the major events, 4 major events that take place during photosynthesis. It is a very, very important 2-mark question. Now the next, how do desert plant make their food? These process of photosynthesis or these events of photosynthesis is not essential to be made step by step. Some part can be made before and some part can be acted upon when there is sunlight. So what do desert plants do? When there is acute sunlight, the stomata of desert plant close, because if the stomata is open, all the water which is there required for the plant will be lost. So to retain moisture, the stomata closes, and the desert plant cannot make its food when there is acute sunlight. So what it does, it forms an intermediate compound in the night, and then when there is not very intense sunlight, the stomata opens, acted upon by the sunlight, it prepares it food. So very, very important. How do desert plant make their food? I have made you underline. I am reading that part. They take up carbon dioxide at night and prepare an intermediate which is acted upon by energy absorbed by the chlorophyll during the day. After that, we have 3 activities from this chapter or from this part. First, show by an activity that light is essential for photosynthesis. Show by an activity that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. Show by an activity that chlorophyll is essential for photosynthesis. All 3 activities have to be learned with diagram. Okay, so you know chlorophyll, you take a variegated plant, mark the variegated plant are plants which have different colors in their leaves. We particularly prefer a money plant which has white and green areas. The green areas have chlorophyll and the white areas are devoid of chlorophyll. Dip them in iodine. You will find it gives this positive test of iodine or positive test of starch. That is, it turns blue-black. So wherever there are green areas, it will turn blue-black. Wherever there is a white area, it will remain as it is. Before that, the leaf is boiled with alcohol or boiled in alcohol to remove all chlorophyll. Clear? This part is essential. Why is the leaf boiled in alcohol? Why is alcohol directly not kept? It is made by that water bath method because the alcohol being highly inflammable will catch fire. Okay, it is boiled in alcohol to dissolve all chlorophyll from the leaf. Then the next part towards this side, very important diagram. What is the diagram for? Stomata and opening and closing of stomata and its functions. So what are stomata? They are the tiny pores present more on the ventral surface of the leaf and less on the dorsal surface of the leaf. These stomatas are enclosed by 2 kidney-shaped cells which are called as guard cells. When the guard cells absorb water, they swell and the stomatal pore closes. When they shrink, the guard cells also shrink, or when the guard cells shrink, the stomatal pore opens. Clear? The stomata is mainly responsible for gaseous exchange, loss of water through transpiration. Clear? So, let us see. Now, activity 2.2. Did I say stomatal pore wrong? I don't know. Did I say it wrong? Okay. When the guard cells absorb water, they swell and the stomatal pore opens. And when they lose water, they shrink and the stomatal pore closes. Right? Now, activity 6.2, which states that carbon dioxide is essential for photosynthesis. The most important, Raghav, not KBr. What is it? KOH, potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide is kept in a petri dish to absorb carbon dioxide. You should not write any other substance. 1 mark question may come or an objective type question may come. That substance which is used to absorb carbon dioxide is what? Potassium hydroxide. Okay? We will stop till here for today's revision. Please mark. Figure 6.3, important from board point of view. 6.1, diagram is generally given for marking and they will mark and ask you the function of different part. Okay, 6.2 and 6.2 and 6.4 are diagrams associated with the activity. So all these diagrams important for examination. Okay. We will continue tomorrow with light also because today I had to finish carbon compounds. So tomorrow we will continue. I'll start with light. While revising, I will not do problems. Okay, only if you have a doubt, we will do, or otherwise as an example problem, textbook problems we will do and go further. When we are solving papers, we will again redo. Okay? Thank you. We will have a class tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.